Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a little bit of a chat. I'm kind of expanding a little bit from the conversation I had last week, and it was featuring this particular doll, my Denver Rose by Severine. And the topic last week was my big ticket doll purchase worth it? And I just want to thank everyone who contributed kindly and positively and thoughtfully in the comments. I also want to thank anyone who expanded on the topic and talked about their own experience. What made me extra happy was that a lot of people make the same mistakes I do, and it's probably a no-brainer, but it's still fun to talk about. And although I did receive 3 kind of weird, mean, rude comments, and the rest of the comments were really nice and enlightening, I'm not trying to focus on the negative ones. I just think it's kind of fun to talk about because I want to take any kind of negative comment that comes my way, and I want to at least make it worth my time in the sense that we grow from everything, whether the comment is supportive or the comment is, intended to hurt our feelings or intended to be rude towards us. I'm trying to find a way in this community for myself and hopefully for all of you guys who come on this channel and watch my videos. I'm trying to find a way that we could all not pretend to be supportive with each other or pretend to like everything each other does, because that's not realistic. The real world, this is like a reflection a little bit of how the real world is. Sometimes there's like really awesome, fun things happening, exciting things happening to people. And sometimes people experience not so exciting and awful things that happen. And we're not talking about like anything pressing in the world that affects humanity. We're talking about dolls here. So we're not talking about world issues like poverty, war, famine, murder, death. Okay, so we're not talking about the real problems in the world. We're talking first world problems. So we're talking about reborn dolls here. So I decided that the negative comments, if they seem worth it or they kind of invoke some type of thought for me, I want to then channel that and process it and turn it into something a little bit kind of where it turns out to be something that I learned about myself, or that I learned about more about humanity. And maybe in some way I hope that by sharing this as positively as I can, taking a negative and sharing it as positively as I can, it helps other people and it helps the community as a whole. So that people don't feel alone in receiving thumbs down, so that people don't feel alone in receiving negative comments, and realize it happens to us all. And it's okay. So here's the comment. I'll read the comment, then I'll go into my free flow thought discussion or little chat with you guys. So I'm not going to say who the comment came from because I honestly don't know what this person's situation is. I don't want anybody going and trolling them or trying to find out who they are or anything. Honestly, I don't know who the person is. It could be anybody. It could be somebody that just stumbled upon the community. It could be someone that is really heavily immersed in the community. It could be anyone. I have no idea. But I believe they chose to leave the comment anonymously, behind, with all the anonymity that the internet offers, because in real life, we don't actually randomly walk up to people when we see them and we see them having a good time and enjoying themselves and they're just having a good time. I mean, it's not rational for someone just to walk up to someone else that's having a good time and right in their face and say, "Oh, I think you're rotten and I think you're nasty and I don't like what you're wearing. Bye." We don't do that in real life, but the internet really is kind of set up that way, where hostility does well under anonymity, under the anonymity of the internet. So I just wanted to share this bottle. I've had these Susie Sue's bottles for quite a while, and I really love them. I'm gonna have to show you the whole entire collection that I have. Isn't she cute? But it's empty. I thought about feeding her. I haven't fed a baby in a long time, but I didn't want to fuss with putting something in there. Okay, so here's the comment, guys. This Denver Rose is not worth $1,000. She is not really pretty nor realistic looking. Not even a full-bodied silicone. I'm sorry to say this. I am on disability, and this is way out of my league. I would understand if she maybe was beautiful. The boy doll you had on the pillow first was cute and realistic. So they started off on a bad note, telling me they really hate my doll. They think she's ugly. There was another comment on here as well, but it wasn't as good and juicy as this one. They just plainly told me, your doll doesn't look like it's worth $1,000 and she's shiny. Okay, so that was, you know, some unsolicited opinions. And most opinions are unsolicited. It seems like to be on the internet unless we ask. But okay, so that was the lovely comment, rude comment that was left. And at first I was like, wow, you know, it always initially is going to hurt your feelings. It always initially kind of gets me, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm not sitting there smiling or laughing about it. It takes some time between the time I take a screenshot and then I share it with my close friends, and then we all process it together, and we support each other, and then we all get angry for each other in defense of each other, you know, all that silliness. So let me pick up my shiny baby. So that comment was left, and I started, you know, thinking about it. I was like, okay, you know, that comment really sucks, but I responded to the person. And I know they say don't feed the trolls, don't respond, just block, delete. And don't let me get into the block and delete aspect of cyber rudeness and harassment and bullying, because that's a whole other topic. And I've done it, I think, a lot of times on my channel. But I know that's the typical response. And some people are probably going to say that in the comments, oh, I would just block and delete and ignore, which was fine. But I just thought after a while, I kind of thought, I'm like, well, you know, they kind of started off with just, hey, I don't think your doll's worth that much. She's not even pretty. She don't even look realistic. And then they ended it with, you know, I like the doll that you had on first on the pillow. So I was like, okay, so it was rude, it was salty, and then they ended it with a compliment. So I just at the end, and it's a compliment, I guess, to my doll purchasing choices. So I do take it personal, but definitely it's not a remark or an opinion about my own painting, because I don't paint these dolls. These dolls were painted by other artists. So yeah, definitely that wasn't, I think that matches. Just thinking of putting that. So definitely the comment was pretty, you know, blunt. And my, you know, your first reaction, you get a comment like this, and your first reaction is, oh gosh, it kind of bothers you. Your second reaction is, great, I have no idea who said this or who feels this way. And then you share it with your friends, and you guys talk about it, and it's like, and then you try to guess, well, like, who said it? You're never gonna know. You're never gonna know. And, you know, you start to think of like, okay, who have I offended in the past? And, you know, it would be this salty towards me. But again, like I said, you're just never really going to know. Actually, I think, so, you know, you go through all the stages, you process everything, you think about what was said, and then I resort back to all of my, you know, all of the things that I share with my own kids about rudeness and everything that I try to teach my kids on coping skills on how to respond or not respond to hostility or to rudeness. And so I go back to that, and I think about those things. And so, yeah, so then I decide I'm going to, respond to the comment, and I just plainly respond, because the person said, I'm sorry, after they, put down the doll that I had. They said, I'm sorry. So I told them, hey, don't apologize, own what you said. I want to put back the ownership of being rude and hostile and kind of mean back to the person who says it, because I don't own that energy. It's not mine, so I kind of just put it back to them, and I said, hey, don't apologize. It's how you feel. It really truly is how they feel. So it's not mine to own. It's not mine to store in any kind of negative way in my being. I can't escape the fact that I read it, the fact that it was done, and it was there and it happened. No, I can't. But I certainly can just, ask them to go ahead and just, own it. I don't understand the purpose for apologizing after saying such mean things or being rude. But I definitely don't have to keep their negative energy as a negative, as a negative, in a negative place, or to allow that negativity to become part of me. So, immediately I just told him, hey, go ahead, don't apologize. That's how you feel. And the second sentence that I said was, thank you, but with the question mark, because they did compliment the first doll that I had on the pillow, which was my JC by Leticia Moreno. And so I did tell them thank you for that compliment. And that's basically all I can do. After I responded to them in that manner, the comment was removed. It did stay up for a couple hours, but they did, eventually just remove the comment. So she's being very casual, and I didn't even show you guys. She has little mice on here. So cute. I'll zoom in on that later. So if it helps you guys, you're not going to have a channel here and you're going to never get a negative comment, never get a thumbs down. It's not the reality of YouTube. It happens. If enough people come by your channel, come by your videos, you're never going to satisfy everyone. Not everyone is going to be a part of the community or a doll collector. Not everyone is going to understand what you're doing. Not everyone is going to be happy for you. So this got me, started thinking, gosh, there's so many different colors going on here. Sorry, guys. But she does. But that just, sorry. Okay, let me get back on topic. Okay, so that got me to thinking about, I'm not sure how I feel about these. That got me to thinking about, so we all are going to experience this thing, and how much of our response to it is going to spill over into the community and turn it into a place where there's a lot of feuding, there's a lot of, people going back and forth with arguments, and, how much is that going to spill in, and how much does the one experience that you had going to affect everybody in the community, depending on how many people watch your videos, depending on how you're going to react to it. If somebody makes a negative video about you, do you have to do is a clap back necessary? Do you got to clap back? I don't know. I don't know that it's something that I'm interested in doing anymore. And I'm not going to lie. In the past, I had my moments where I did clap back. Because it was not something that I was used to, and call me naive, but this wasn't something that I was accustomed to in my real life. on day-to-day interactions with people at work, at school, at the grocery store, on the streets, at friends' house. So this hostility that we experience, or rudeness that we experience from people that come across our channel, come across our videos, is really unique in the sense that the internet offers that anonymity to leave those types of, comments, creating that environment for hurt, and that's just what it is. There are people out there that enjoy the anonymity just for that, just to ambush people with their self-loathing and low self-esteem. Because in the end, that's kind of what I feel, that is the vibe of that comment that I get, and most negative comments that I get on my videos. It takes me a minute to think about and process, and then I realize, well, this isn't about me. It definitely isn't about me. It's about somebody else's struggle with low self-esteem and low self-worth. So does my response have to be one of power, or should my response be one of either? Some things don't deserve a response at all. I'll tell you that. But if you can, and you can do it civilly, and as as non-passive aggressive as possible, if that's possible, because I realized that my response was a little bit, passive aggressive by saying, own your energy. But in a way, I felt like I had to, in somewhat, for my own dignity, be the one that's responsible for the tone on my channel and on my videos. So, we always have to ask ourselves, or we have to remind ourselves that people are always going to find someone to talk about. They're always going to find, something because they're bored, or because, it basically comes down to that it really has to do with what's going on inside them. Now, that comment did say that the person couldn't afford a doll that, over $1,000, that it was way out of their league. And perhaps that was, a cry for help, a cry for some sympathy or empathy towards that person. So, like I said, I'm totally like breaking down the comment now. So I realized, okay, when I read that part in the middle, I'm like, okay, they're obviously struggling with something. Whether it's true or not, I will never be able to know. But I'm always going to be under the assumption that everyone's struggling with something. So it's better to not respond in a show of power, because your response doesn't really necessarily have to match their rudeness, their initial rudeness. The other thing is, we always have to remind ourselves also that our own self-worth isn't defined by whether or not people approve of the things that we do. And I'm strictly speaking also just mainly focusing on the doll hobby. None of us should base our self-worth on whether or not people think our dolls are beautiful, or that our purchases, how we decide, or what kit we decide on, what doll we decide on, what artist we decide on. None of these things should be the basis of our own self-worth. None of these things should depend on whether other people approve of those choices that we make. And that's kind of a hard one, because I know that a lot of us use, YouTube as a platform to reach out to people and find people that are, that we feel the same way about things, to share in the dolls and everything. So we, in a way, we do, We want people to like what we bring on and like what we present. We're seeking that encouragement. And sometimes some of us don't have it at home. We don't have it from our families. So we seek it here. And I hope that everybody does find it. They find their, their heart buddies, their bosom buddies, the people that they're connected to. I said bosom buddies. I mean not anything to do with the heart and emotions. We find the people that we connect with and that we become friends with. And I hope that those are the people that we allow, the people that support us and want good things for us. So those are the people that we allow to let influence our self-esteem and somewhat influence our self-worth. But ultimately, that still has to come from us first. So I got to thinking about that. Another thing, people, when they leave rude comments like that, or they just go and they thumb down your video, and they don't know. People don't know your journey. They don't know where you've been, what you're doing, what your plans are. Yeah, I know a lot of us come out here, we make videos, we talk about tons of things. We talk about where we're going, what we've done, and everything. But that doesn't mean that they know everything, okay? It seems like they know everything, but no one knows you just from 10 minutes a day or 20-minute video a week. We share what we want to share, and some of us reserve what we want to reserve. And on that same note, we have to look at other people and approach people the same way. We can't determine everything about one person just from a few videos. And then, another reason why we shouldn't listen or put too much, validity or validate too many negative opinions or, opinions that people hold about us from watching our videos is that we have to, deep down inside, we need to trust our own intuition. So what I mean by trusting our intuition is ultimately it's our money that we're spending. We decide what everybody has their own mind made up on what they think is beautiful, what artists they, love to buy from, and that should ultimately be the only thing that's guiding you, is your own intuition, is your own likes and wants and needs. And, that brings me to, let me see here. I made a little note here because I didn't want to forget everything. And then, okay, this is an important one. I feel like when we first start our channels, at least for me, I was trying to make decisions. I wanted everybody to be happy with what they saw and the content that I had. And then I got some resistance from people, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong or how I was offending anyone. I did open my ears and my mind to my supporters, my friends, to try to kind of tweak that and do something different. But ultimately, you're never going to please everyone. It's just not going to happen. So all the dolls that you choose to bring into your collection, or that you choose to make, every single outfit that you choose to buy, or the look that you want to give your baby, all of that is going to be ultimately based on who you are. And not everyone is going to like every single thing you do or say. So you ultimately have to just accept that you're not going to please everyone, and you're going to get judged. People are going to judge you. But I hope that if that does happen and you do get judged and it becomes vocal and they make sure that you know that that's happening to you, they want to make sure that they know what you think. They want to make sure that you know what they think of you. I hope that you have a support system of friends, and that anything that I'm saying right here kind of helps you process it in a more pacifist way. But because ultimately what's good for you may not be good for somebody else. So, you know, somebody telling me that they think my doll is ugly, my doll's ugly, you know, or it's not realistic. Well, we may have different tastes altogether, you know, completely. There are so many artists out there that paint differently. I know some people that only collect alternative or monster dolls or horror dolls. I myself, I only have like one fantasy doll, and it's a fairy. I'm not like that into collecting those dolls. I know people that have a mix of both. So again, we just have to remember what's good for us. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for everybody. And we just have to not give the people the power to allow them to negatively affect us. So because they're going to continue to judge whether we, you know, do what we think is going to make them happy or not. And ultimately, I just think that in the end, when you get a thumbs down or you get a negative comment, and this one's the hard one because it requires a lot of mindfulness. It requires a lot of deciding on it requires a lot of conquering the ego, your own ego. And it's just basically taking the high road. And they say the high road's the least traveled, and it really is, because it takes a lot of practice not to have a reaction or not to be reactionary. I see things constantly about me, and I choose to take the high road. And the reason I do that is because I came into this hobby for the love of my dolls, to find friends, and I have that. And that's the most important thing to me when it comes to this doll collecting, is, am I having fun? And is my collection what I wanted, what I've always dreamt of? And ultimately I have to say it is. So if I want to keep on that track, because that's my fun zone, that's my sweet spot for me, is my collection everything I wanted? And did I find people that support and, you know, enjoy me for me? And I have. So I feel lucky. But, you know, if you're new to this community on YouTube, I mean, you may not be new necessarily everywhere else on other, you know, portals of the doll collecting hobby, because there's forums, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and they're not all interconnected. They kind of all coexist. Some of them interconnect and intertwine with each other. You know, issues that have gone on Facebook has spilled over to YouTube, or from forums onto YouTube and whatnot. But as far as, you know, you're new here to YouTube, you're going to come by the day that you're going to get some negativity. The day is going to come when you're going to get a thumbs down, and it's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie, it is going to hurt. But I just hope that anything that I said in this video today will at least cause you to pause and approach it in a more mindful way, and decide that you're going to let the people that left that negativity or threw that negativity your way, you're going to let them own it, and you're going to own what's yours. So that's all I have for you guys today. I do want to thank the persons that do leave comments like that. I mean, they sting, I'm not going to lie. So you got me there. But they actually help me grow as well, because I get to thinking about things, and I realize how far removed and how different it is, social media, as it is in real life. And that's all I can possibly say on a, you know, sociological point of view. And I'm no sociologist, I just play one on TV. But yeah, so I hope you guys like your outfit. And if you do, give me a thumbs up. And if you have something to say, anything to say about this video, whether it's positive or negative, I can take it. All right, guys, I'll be back again later on this week, hopefully with another doll, another outfit change. And let me bring this up close to you guys so you guys can see the little mice dancing. All right, guys, see you again soon.